welcome to Local Ag. I'm your host, Melody Divers, a member of the Bedford County Economic Development Agriculture Advisory Board. We're back to our regularly scheduled program. Last week, the weather kind of shifted our plans, Woody. We had to pivot a little bit.
That's right. It throws a wrench in everything.
It did, but here we are. So we're grateful that Woody was so accommodating, and so we're here today for our sixth podcast. Woohoo! I'm joined today with our guests, Joy Powers and Scott Baker. These two are definitely not strangers to ag in Bedford. So welcome, Scott and Joy.
Hello.
Hello.
Joy, do you want to share a little bit about your connections with ag in Bedford County? We're going to talk more with you, but just do a little intro.
Sure. I am a fourth generation Bedford County farmer, and my family has a beef cattle farm and a farm equipment dealership here in Bedford. And then I also serve on the Bedford County Agricultural Economic Advisory Board with you. And then as well, I serve as the chair of the Bedford County Fair.
Well, thank you. We appreciate everything you do. Wonderful. And Scott is definitely not a stranger. He's our county's extension agent. And I just learned this morning that you've been doing this for 27 years.
Yeah, since April 1 of 1997.
There you go. All right. That April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day.
All right. So, Scott, later on in the segment, we're going to learn about the office you work with and some background information about how people can connect with your office and all the different things that are available there. But do you want to give us a little background on your life in ag?
Sure. So I actually come to agriculture skipping a generation. My dad was born and raised on a dairy farm in northeastern Pennsylvania. I was drawn to Virginia to go to graduate school at Virginia Tech, and managed a farm in Nelson and Amherst County for a few years before I started here. And my brother, interestingly enough, also had a career in extension in Western New York State.
Oh, that's wonderful. So it's just bred in you.
That's it's in the family.
Excellent. And as promised and on cue, here is the train. Excellent. All right. As we begin today's podcast, we're going to share the highlight reel of ag happenings here in Bedford. This is just the highlight reel of 2024, so we apologize if we miss sharing an event or an ag experience that was near and dear to your heart. I got my first pun. We're going to jump in with joy. Ha 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 ha. We're going to jump in with happiness, but also Joy's going to speak about some positive ag highlights, such as different events in the community with our FFA and our county fair and 4-H. So go for it. Share away.
Yeah, absolutely. So my role on the ag board is actually the education and events chair. And so it's a pretty cool position because I kind of get to keep a pulse on all the things that are happening in Bedford County 4-H and FFA. And there's just so much, we have, I think, so much more opportunities in Bedford for youth and people really understand or can fully appreciate. But just kind of putting together this report was really fun. So, and I know, Melody, your sons are active 4-H members and active in some of these programs. So anytime you want to share some of their experiences. And Scott is our ag agent, but also just instrumental in everything 4-H and a key supporter of FFA as well. So when I was in FFA and 4-H, we used to call him like the ag Yoda of Bedford.
I love that.
So
I love that.
So yeah. So Scott you're saying he's been here 27 years. I'm 33 and I've been here the whole time. So Scott and I go way back since before I was a 4-H member. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. So, but yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things that people don't understand is that 4-H isn't just agriculture. And so I do want to take a minute to make a note of that we have a lot of really interesting clubs. Like I know your sons are active in our teen leadership club. And, I've in the past have served as an adult leader of our livestock club, but then we also have like state and national achieving shooting clubs and who do, riflery and things like that. So there's so many rich opportunities there. But then also I think something's really cool about 4-H is you have all of these national and international experiences that we have kids go on, but then you also have things like our Creative Kids Christmas Market, which our former 4-H agent Mary Beth Martin, who I think we'd be remiss not to shout out. I know she's very beloved in this room, and to a lot of youth in Bedford. So she has took the next step in her career, but she just had really her final year here in Bedford, just a really rich opportunities. And maybe Scott, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about that creative Christmas market and just some of the things that she did to kind of reach not just students and that aren't directly tied to agriculture, but are still looking for an experience.
Yeah, so it is amazing the breadth of programs that 4-H and opportunities that it provides to young people, whether they're involved in agriculture or not. And one thing that Mary Beth was very active in is youth entrepreneurial work. And she did a program in cooperation with the Bedford Farmers Market a few years where youth that had something to sell were able to actually do that at the farmers market, and they learned the whole business practice all the way from developing your product to pricing your product to customer relations, and then pivoted this past year to do a Christmas market, which was very similar, and it was wildly successful. It was held at our office. Actually, the entire building was filled up with well over 30 youth that were selling their wares.
And what age bracket were the participants?
Most of them were in the, I would say, from 9 to late teens. So
Wow.
it was a pretty wide scale. Yeah, it was just a great event. They had a drone flying through the building during the day, so that people could really experience it if they couldn't be there. And they made it a service project, so people would either bring canned foods that were then donated as the price of entry, as it were. So that was just one example. And another example that I'm going to get to experience for the first time next week, because we are without a 4-H agent right now, is there's an opportunity once a year for 4-H members all over the Commonwealth to go to what's called 4-H Day at the Capitol, where they go to experience the legislative process. They observe the General Assembly at work. They have an opportunity to speak with their legislators and it's just another what I would call leadership development opportunity. So we'll be going to that with some young people from Bedford next week. So I'm actually looking forward to that.
I think Creek did that last year, and I think it was just a really good experience. Anytime, well, I'm a big proponent of education, but anytime that you can do something and see it, I think it's more lasting than just reading about it. So
makes it real.
Exactly. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So many great things. And I know that you're already making plans for our next 4-H camp this summer. So if families are looking for opportunities this summer, that 4-H camp dates are out, and they're looking for camp and camp counselors. So that's definitely something you want to look into.
Before we go, if anyone is interested in getting their family involved in 4-H, can you share how that can happen? And possibly we need to add links into this podcast. Don't you think that would be helpful?
I think it'd be super helpful.
Okay.
Yeah. So the structure of 4-H is, and I think one of the things that when I was a 4-H leader that people were shocked to learn as they go to join is this is a free organization. So this is a public service. And like Scott said, there's so many different types of organizations. And so you can kind of, try them on and feel them out. I'm not sure, as a mom, Melody, when you guys were like looking at 4-H, you would have anticipated that your boys would have picked the teen leadership club.
I didn't.
But, that's one of the cool things. And I've personally seen how much they've grown from that.
Right.
So if you're looking for that, I think the information, calling the extension office, calling Scott's office, talking to Scott or Sandy right now, and just seeing, what opportunities are there. They have monthly meetings, so you can go to the meeting, a lot of the clubs, and kind of try those things out. And then once you decide you want to be a member, all of that's online now.
That's right.
And so that's facilitated through Virginia Tech and through an online service. And really 4-H is great because you can make it really what you want it, and the opportunities are endless. And so we would just encourage anybody who's interested in 4-H, or if you have a neighbor or a grandchild,
get the word out.
Yeah, just get the word out, because again, these programs are available, they're free, and we personally all witness how they enrich the lives.
Oh, definitely. They do add value, not just to the child's life, but it has a ripple effect in the community. And here's a little quiz. What's the 4 H's? What does that stand for?
Oh gosh, it's I am a 4-H all-star. Let's see. It is head, heart, health, and home. Hands.
There we go. I know. It's like I was doing like I
Yeah.
was doing the motions. Y'all can't see
It's
it. But I was
always
doing
the last little bit that gets me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Good job. You passed the test. She's like, I'm not going to be out here again. She's going to
Yeah.
pop quiz me.
It's okay. I'm gonna ask somebody a fake read here in a few.
Yeah.
But on that note, I think that's a really good tie-in to some other youth programs.
Yeah,
that
let's
we
do it.
have.
Let's talk about it.
But I love talking about our FFA chapters. The first thing I want to say is we actually have 5 FFA chapters in this county, which I think is a big accomplishment. We hear a lot about Smith Mountain FFA, Smith Mountain Middle, and then Liberty High School and Liberty Middle FFA, and they do so much. But we would be remiss if we didn't just kind of applaud our newest chapter, which is Smith Mountain Lake Christian Academy.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people don't know that private schools can also charter FFA chapters. And so not only do they have a new chapter, they've actually this year held area leadership conferences and things there.
I see them on
And
social
so,
media, and I am
yeah.
so proud of them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So we are really proud of that and that growth. But yeah, so I think that all of our FFA chapters have just had a really stellar 2024. They have competed in countless career development events or contests. And so we've seen, state achievements in livestock judging and, forestry and things like that. But we've also seen a lot of success in public speaking, which is really cool. So, and some things like that. And just the continued achievement of our Bedford County FFA members has been really neat. But then again, there's also like that community component where I personally know the Bedford County Fair probably wouldn't have happened if it hadn't have been for our FFA chapter volunteers.
I was going to interject and say when you're talking about this public speaking, and I was a judge for one of those the competitions. The overwhelming pride I felt, and these are not even my children I taught or birthed or anything like that, but the fact that these young folks could speak so intellectually and calmly,
Mm-hmm.
I felt hope. I really did. Like, I'm not trying to get up in my feelings, but I felt hope, and it was so reassuring. And then what you just said about the students helping at the fair, it was so impressive. And if people have anything to say negative about teenagers, you need to come on over to this side and see what these folks are doing, because it is absolutely commendable, amazing. And like I said, I'm not even related to them, and I'm so proud of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. And what's really neat is, we've done this for long enough to know that, the group of students that we had in 2024 from all the chapters who served at the fair and other places, they were special. But we know that there's something special about these organizations because it happens year after year. This has been
It's not
happening.
by coincidence.
Yeah, this
It's
is
not like, oh yeah, we had a good group of kids this year.
Yeah, 8 years ago when we were doing the fair, it was a whole different set of kids, but it was still the same principles. And so that's, I think, one, a testament to the organizations, but also a testament to our educators that we have.
I was going to say the
as
leadership
well.
that these children have. Obviously, it's just not a half thought out agenda there.
No, absolutely not. And so, we see these young people do things like, compete in contests, and, we compare that to sports. They practice every day in a lot of situations for hours a day. And then some of them are also doing sports and academics as well. But then they also go and they do things like they raise sweet corn to sell at the farmer's market,
Mm-hmm.
like Liberty FFA does. And, I think Liberty FFA and Smith Mountain both had deer drives for Hunters for the
They did.
Hungry this year.
Mhm.
These aren't things that these young people have to do. They're things that they want to do. And so the fact that these organizations are growing, because I think that all young people have that in them, but they're growing these things that encourage them and make young people want to serve is really neat.
And these young people are going to grow up, and they can be our future local leaders, or just things in our community. Or if they choose to move out, they're going to represent us well,
Absolutely.
no matter where
Absolutely.
they land. Let's talk a little bit about the fair of 2024.
Yes.
I personally had a great time. I'm always up for a good fair or carnival, and
Mhm.
it definitely checked all the boxes. And for having a good time and feeling good about it. So tell us your take on it.
Yeah. Well, I will say that all three of us here are members of the fair board. Scott serves as an advisor and as his role with our extension agent. And Melody is also a board member, so you guys can feel free to jump in anytime. But this year we'd had a hiatus without a fair since pre-COVID. And so we were excited to bring a fair back. We knew last year was the year that it was time to come back, and the community really needed it. And you know what? It was just a smashing success, to be honest. And I think that our board has talked about it, and at the end of the day, like, we're just really proud that the event was well attended. It was safe. We had 20 to 25,000 people come through.
Wow.
With no public incident. Like, the sheriff's deputies, like, we couldn't do this without Sheriff Miller and his staff there.
Oh, they were
his
very
guys.
dedicated.
Yeah. They were there the whole time, but honestly, they didn't have to do much. Like, I mean, it was just that good of an environment. And I know you and I, Melody, have talked about just we really wanted families to be able to come and see all the positive parts of Bedford, but we wanted to make sure every family felt safe and it was also accessible to them. And so I think that was a big part of the success for us. But then, the heart of what we do, and one thing that Scott always reminds us, is the heart of what we do is still agriculture. Mm-hmm. And so we have the rides, and we have the fireworks, and we have the concerts. And that's fun and that's all important, but it's really to bring people there to showcase them, like, what we believe to be the heart of Bedford, the community, the industry, and the agriculture. And so, when we look at our achievements in that, and just, how many people got to experience a piece of Bedford ag, how many people got to interact with a Bedford farmer. We had these really cool demonstrations, from everything to we had a farrier come in. We had a floriculture from a local flower farmer that people came in and got to make arrangements. Those type of interactions, they don't happen. Those people don't get those experiences. And also those farms don't get that exposure as well. Right. And so it's kind of a twofold thing. And so we try to stack the benefits of the fair as much as we can. But all of that is possible because of our sponsors and our community. And so we were talking before this, and it's ironic that some of our biggest sponsors, if not our biggest and most loyal sponsors, are Spring Lake Stockyard, Bedford Co-op,
right,
Bedford Farm Bureau. They show up every year.
Yeah, the ag background.
Yeah. And so I think that everything's fun, and it was just such a great event. It was a fun event, but it was also just a really important event to Bedford Ag.
Yeah, we needed it as a community, and the way that the guests came in droves, and it was a kind event. It didn't have any ill feelings at the actual event. It was just our community heart needed it. And my favorite, I love some cows. I love some cows. But those little ducklings, I'm going to tell you, I could not stop visiting them every day. And I think they made the Facebook reel on the regular, because I could
come visit them at my house if you like.
That's right. You had adopted
next year they can go to your house.
No, that happened to me when I was little. We went to a fair and they tried to give us the ducks, and my mom said, "Oh, sure, we'll take them." And for like 3 or 4 years, we were duck farmers, and we're not duck farmers.
Yeah, there's something.
Yeah. Anyway, but no, I love that for you. I love that for you. All right, we have so much to share. Do you have anything else you want to share about anything in the community before we switch over to agritourism?
I don't think so. I think I'll pop back in if I hear anything else, but I think that, really the fair kind of works hand in hand with agritourism.
Yeah, it's a nice little bridge. You see what I did there?
I do. I like that. And shout out Destination Bedford for its efforts and helps in both of these things.
Yes. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. So, as you can tell, folks, this podcast is a little bit different than usual. We're doing some recaps and highlight reels, and agriculture is a deep part of our community, and we're having a great time showcasing as much as we can. We are fortunate to live in an area, like Joyce said, where several farms or farm businesses do welcome the public to visit and interact on their farm. And sometimes those farms even go to places such as the farmers market or the fair. But anyway, we're going to talk about 3 specific farms right now. Layman's Family Farm is in 2024. Eric told me that about 35,000 folks were able to enjoy the various activities found on their 83-acre farm, which is right off of 460 in the Blue Ridge, Montvale area. So their corn maze, did y'all know this is a 10-acre corn maze? I didn't realize that until I saw that online. And I was like, that one year I did get lost. Now I realized what a big deal that was because it was 10 acres. So anyway, I also wanted to tell you that it's not just a place to enjoy in the fall. They are known for their produce, and they do have spring and fall field trips that you can, with your school groups or homeschool groups or co-ops or things like that. And they have a lot of information on their website, which is laymanfamilyfarms.com.
Do they also do weddings?
That is near their property, but that's Diamond V. So it's yes, but no. So you would go under the Diamond V website, but you will go in the same driveway.
Yes. Okay, that's where I got confused. Beautiful facility.
Oh, yeah. Very stunning. And the next farm we're going to spotlight is Gross's Orchard, which is definitely well known here in Bedford County. For nearly 100 years, the Gross family has grown fruit in their stunning 100-plus acre orchard, which is in Apple Valley. And it's situated, if you've been there, you know, it's so beautiful. It's at the foot of the Blue Ridge Mountains. And this year, like every year, they hosted multiple festivals. And Ronnie told me this morning that from September 1st of this 2024 to October 31st, listen to this, 70 to 75,000 guests enjoyed their farm property. I can't even wrap my head around that. That's amazing. Yay. So just so you know, this is another farm that isn't just a place to enjoy during the fall. They have year-round offerings, and you can check their website, which is grossorchard.com, or you can give them a call at 540-586-2436. And you talked about this farm when you were talking about the fair, Petal Ridge. They came to the fair and did, what was it, like a arrangement workshop?
Yeah, so it was like a build your own bouquet bar almost. And so she gave kind of a talk about their farm and what they do about the flowers, and people got to build, and it was an instant sellout.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, there was no spot. I saw so many people walking out of the building with their vases of beautiful flowers that were raised right on her farm in Thaxton. So that was a great Bedford moment. So as we were just saying, Petal Ridge is a flower farm in Thaxton, and they do offer beautiful specialty flowers, and they sell at the local Bedford Farmers Market. And Michelle told me that from April to October, they were at the Bedford Farmers Market. And then she said that they were also set up at different holiday events in Bedford and Big Island and Vinton. And she said 2025, she's planning on hosting some collaborative classes, some private events, and even a U-Pick there at their farm. So I think this would be a great place to lean into if you are hosting something like a birthday party, a bachelorette party, or just getting together with some friends. I think it would be really meaningful. Plus, it's so beautiful. Their flower farm is on Thaxton School Road. And if you want to learn more about her workshops or ordering or how you can get what she is selling. Also, just as a side note, even when fresh flowers aren't available, Michelle, like during October, November, and December, she has sold wreaths, dried flowers, and things of that nature. So she tries to make it a year-round business for her. But like I was saying, if you want to learn more about her workshops, you can check out her Facebook page, which is Petal Ridge Farms, or you can give her a call or text her at 540-816-3271. Now, I know there's way more we could talk about because, again, Bedford is just so rich when it comes to agritourism and just ag life, but we're going to put a bookmark right there in that segment. And right now, what we're going to do is we're going to chat with Scott. You get to talk a little bit now. You're going to talk probably the majority of the conclusion of this, but what we want to talk about right now is your office, any insights that you would like to share. If you have any cool things about the farmers market, the Bedford Urban Garden, anything like that that we just need to know about, and then we'll ease on into the chit chat about the extension office.
Wonderful. So I think one of the most exciting things for me, and probably part of the reason that I've been here for 27 years and still enjoy my job every day, is because of the diversity of Bedford agriculture. I mean, you just talked a little bit about the importance of agritourism, and you really just scratched the surface with that. There's a whole bunch more of agritourism that happens all the time in Bedford. And we also are still a very strong, what we would say, traditional or conventional agriculture, where we're at number 3 in the state in the terms of the number of beef cows, which a lot of people don't know. And we also have grains. We also have orchards. We also have vineyards. It just goes on and on and on. So that diversity, to me, is just very exciting to be a part of. So I just appreciate the opportunity to work in agriculture every day. But pivoting to what we do. So our agency is Virginia Cooperative Extension. The best way for me to give that elevator speech as to who we are is think of us as the educational outreach program of Virginia's land-grant universities, which in Virginia we have 2. We have Virginia Tech and we have Virginia State University. So our job, our mission, the only reason we exist is to provide educational programs to people based on what their needs are, so they can make well-informed decisions. We're not telling people what to do. We're just providing them with information, and then they take that to make well-informed decisions about their lives, whether it be farming, whether it be youth work, whether it be how to properly can those green beans so they don't make their family sick.
Yes.
And things of that nature. So at the end of the day, we are here. We're community-based. We're needs-based, and we are all about providing education.
So do you have any workshops on the docket for 2025 about any of the things that you just spoke about? Or can people just come in and say, hey, I'm having a hard time figuring, like, whether it's soil, like testing or canning? How does that work?
Sure. So on a day-to-day basis, yes, in terms of if people have questions about pretty much anything under the sun, we're going to do our best to address those. If people need their soil tested, if they need their water tested, if they need their pressure canner tested, if they don't know how to do X, Y, and Z, they can come to us for information on that. And then in terms of structured workshops, it just depends on the year and what the needs are. We typically will have some beef cattle workshops throughout the year, since that's a big part of our agriculture industry in Bedford. Our Family and Consumer Sciences Extension Agent, Susan Prilliman, does a lot with food safety, food preservation, human nutrition, and wellness. So she'll do structured workshops a lot of times about canning and things like that throughout the year. We also partner quite a bit. A perfect example is working with Parks and Recreation, because they manage the community cannery that we have in New London. And we've done some exciting
we had a great
projects.
interview last month with them. Oh, I learned so much.
Yeah, with Brian.
Yeah, I had a great interview.
Yeah, so he's passionate about the cannery and is really, I would say, infused it with new energy.
Agreed.
And we did a really neat canning project to help food insecure people in 2024. That was super exciting.
Wonderful. So, do you do any, should people email, phone? How would you like people to get up with you? Or can they just walk on in your office?
All of the above. All the above.
All right. Do you want to give that information?
Sure. Yeah, you bet. So our offices, we are co-located with Bedford Parks and Recreation. So we are at 1257 County Farm Road. If folks know where the county nursing home is, we're just right next door. So that's the easiest way to find us in person. You can call us at 540-586-7675. If you just Google Virginia Cooperative Extension Bedford, you'll get I won't remember everybody's email address, but you can do that, Facebook. So
you're accessible.
We are, yeah. And we like to think of ourselves as kind of a high-touch agency, which means if folks need to talk to us on the phone, great. Emails, great. In person, great. If you need us to make home and site visits, I do that all the time, whether it's gardening questions, because Bedford does have a lot of suburban and residential development as well, or farm visits. We just want to meet people's needs as best we can.
I love it. That seems so positive, and we need that. We need that, definitely.
I would just like to point out that after hearing your explanation, I think that the title Farm Yoda is actually completely appropriate.
Yes, yeah, I think
I'm
it's
gonna
going to
get a
stay.
T-shirt made.
Yeah,
There
do
you
it
go.
for camp this summer. You
That's
could have
right.
that. That'll be great. You did talk about gardening, and do you have any connections, whether personally or professionally, with the Bedford Urban Garden on Jackson Street? Do you have any information on that you can share?
Yes, I sure do. In fact, just celebrated the 10th year anniversary of that community endeavor. And gratefully, I have been a part of that since the beginning. And it
I knew you
started
would
with,
be the one to ask.
yeah, it started in very humble beginnings, but it has just been a wonderful asset for the community. It has grown each and every year, continues to get great community support. So it is an opportunity, yes, for people that don't have their own place to garden. They can rent a bed, but we also do workshops for anyone,
Mhm.
not just the gardeners that rent beds there.
Oh,
Usually
okay.
a couple in the spring, a couple in the fall. They've got a good website and Facebook where you can keep track of what they're going to offer.
Yeah, I was going to say the website's is updated.
Yeah.
I just perused through it, and in fact, our Bedford Local Ag Facebook page, we just did a little shout out to them and with some information about Bug. That's what they call it. Isn't that
Yeah.
cute?
But
Um,
isn't that
but
great?
anyway, yeah, I was really impressed with the website as
Mm.
well. So that's a great resource too for folks just to get to know them a little bit better.
And I think what's doubly impressive is, again, it is a place for people to garden and to learn, but also a place to give back. So and it's all volunteer led.
Hmm.
Like some of the best community projects are led by volunteers,
Mhm.
and they actually designate some of their beds and they grow produce and they donate it to food insecure families in the community. And I won't get the exact poundage right, but I think last year it was well over 2,000 pounds. So what they do for the community extends far and wide.
Agreed. Yeah. I just sitting here, I just have like a feeling of this talking about the young people, talking about an urban garden, talking about volunteers. And if you're listening to this and you're having a down day, you've got to love Bedford after hearing this because we have so many good things happening and we're missing things too. We haven't mentioned everything. So if you're having a down day, just think what your community is doing. Young people, older folks, anyone in between, and we have a good heartbeat here in the community, and we just need to keep that going. I
Yeah,
just
we
wanted
do.
to have a little mama talk with the listeners that
Mhm.
we're in a good spot here in Bedford. We need to
are.
keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
And these are some good opportunities for connection. So
Mhm.
connecting to people face to face, like, I think that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
very positive thing.
And
especially-
January can be rude, as we
Yeah,
saw last
yeah.
week. Disrespectful
Yes.
weather.
Yes, it can. But spring is coming.
Spring is coming.
Spring is coming, and
Yes.
the farmers markets will be back open soon.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
and I think they are doing well. I know Forest had to cancel, I think that's last week, but they have some February, and I'll talk about that at the end. But
Okay.
yes, the farmers markets are another key part to our county. So we have so many things to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just had that nice little upbeat. Now, I don't have a good segue for this. Scott, can you talk to us about the bird flu?
Sure.
Not my classiest bridge there.
It was just fine. Yeah. So bird flu is something that's been around for quite a while.
Mhm.
We've had several different strains that results in outbreaks over the past many years. I believe that the current outbreak, as it were, the strain started back in 2022. And it is a highly contagious virus, especially among poultry and birds.
Okay.
So it is something that people need to be aware of. But it's not a reason to panic. It's a reason to be prepared and to be informed of what to do.
Right.
So I think probably some really key things, if people keep poultry, whether that's backyard chickens or things of that nature, it's just really important that they practice good, what we would call biosecurity, but it's just common sense.
Right.
It's, things like trying to keep poultry away from wild birds, keeping birds inside if it's possible or feasible, providing feed and water indoors or at least under cover, and then practicing good personal sanitation. So before and after you handle the birds, make sure that you wash your hands.
And
right?
like you said, common sense.
Common sense. Yeah. I think what's made perhaps this current outbreak a little different is there has been some transmission to other animals.
Okay.
So primarily dairy cattle
Mhm.
that the USDA and CDC keeps track of. And that's still been relatively minor in the grand scheme of things. And the last data that I checked, there have not been any dairy cattle where it's been detected in Virginia.
Okay.
And the other thing that I would point out is, according to the USDA that keeps track of all these detections, there has not been a positive detection in birds in Virginia in the last approximately year to year and a half.
Okay.
Okay. Now it's right around us in other states, so we want to, again,
We need to be mindful.
we want to be
We
prepared.
can't disregard it. Yes.
And but we don't need to panic. We
No.
need to understand that there are things that people can do to protect themselves. The other thing I would say is that if people are worried about the food supply, inspected meat and milk is safe, because meat from sick animals does not enter the food chain, whether it's because they have avian flu or something else. And pasteurized milk, the pasteurization process kills the virus. So I think it's important for people to understand what this is, what the real risks are, and then doing what they can to be prepared and to minimize and mitigate the risk. So if people do have birds that get sick in their backyard flock, probably the best thing for them to do is to contact the local Department of Agriculture. We call it VDACS, Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. There is a regional lab on Route 460 in Lynchburg. That would be a good first contact. Just because you see a sick bird does not mean it has avian flu.
Right.
But that resource is available to citizens. But again, if people get confused and don't know where to go, they can always come to us and we can route them.
And you can
in
navigate
proper direction.
Good.
What do you have a recommendation for I guess an accurate source of information for consumers? Like sometimes news can be interpreted one way or the other and maybe get a little sensational. Is there, if a parent just wants to know, like, is my gallon of milk safe?
Sure.
Like, where can they go to maybe find some information?
So I believe the best source of information on the human side, the safety issues, would be with the CDC. And they have got an extensive, because I just looked at it, extensive website with a lot of fact sheets about avian flu and the risks associated with that disease.
Yeah. Okay. I think everybody's just a little tense after COVID, and they hear,
Yes.
I understand.
They hear something. So well, thank you for being here. In all fairness, I did ask Scott to come talk about the bird flu because, again, the Farm Yoda thing, like who else better to
Calms us
ask?
down. He did not want us to panic.
Yeah.
This has been a wonderful episode just for me personally. I love hearing positive things that are happening in our community. And then if you put ag in there and you put these smart kids in here, I'm all over it. I'm here for it. So I'm really proud to be a part of this, and I know y'all are too. But we need to wrap up this edition. This might be the record for the longest podcast. Whoop whoop. Okay, but before I go, like always, we want to give some announcements that are ag friendly. So the Forest Farmers Market, which is located at 15583 Forest Road, has a market on February the 8th from 9 to 12. Keep up with them on their Facebook page because they keep the details about who will be there and different things like that. They had to cancel their last market, like I said, because of the disrespectful weather. So make sure that you can go and support them on February the 8th. Also, Bedford Farmers Market, they have a market coming up on February the 15th, and theirs runs from 9 to 1. And they are located at Washington Street here in Bedford, and you can stay up to date with them. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram and get all the information you need. And also, remember I said that Lehman Family Farm is not just for the fall. I saw at the start of January, they posted on Facebook about hosting spring field trips. And they have several April dates listed and a few May dates. So if you have a group of 20 or more students, they would really like you to connect with them because they have a field trip itinerary, which would be wagon rides, their other farm activities, like I think they said the cow train, the pillow jumping pad thing that the kids always love. But also there's education component where you can get a take-home science ag lesson, and you can just reach out to them at lehmanfamilyfarms@gmail.com to get your group organized. So this would be great for homeschool, public school, private school, whatever you want to do. I think it would be a really good venture for the children. And lastly, if you want to attend one of our Ag Board meetings, you are more than welcome. Meeting times and minutes are always available online under the Ag Board tab on the Economic Development website. And Woody, maybe we'll put a link on in this podcast so folks can check that out. Sound good? He gave me a thumbs up. So anyway, you can come and check out our Ag Board meeting and be a part of the community that way. And I'm very grateful for Joy and Scott being here. Thank you. It's a very informative podcast, and I'm grateful for both of you. And in closing, this is Melody Divers reminding you to be good to yourself and be good to others.